Welcome back to another Friday Bible study. This is going to be really good. We're going to go over this small Jordan Peterson clip in regards to him addressing Andrew Tate and this view of women that's becoming somewhat popular. I think now it's probably kind of losing steam because of the insane mindset of a lot of these people in this position who talk like this and who think like this as far as how their regards towards women. But this is going to be a really good clip, and it's going to tie in together with the verse that we have today. This is my favorite videos to make. I've been looking forward to it all week. And like I said in other videos, I think that this is going to be beneficial for anyone, even if they're not necessarily a believer. I still think there is wisdom to be gleaned from the scripture, and you can still be applied to life. So without further ado, let's jump into this. This is going to be a very important topic today.
A little hygiene is not such a bad thing. As a start, decent haircut, certain amount of cleanliness. That's a good thing. What's rule 1 in the first book? Stand up straight with your shoulders back. What do women look for? Depends on the wisdom of the woman, obviously. Narcissists can fool naive women. That's why narcissists propagate, by the way.
And so, actually, let me
know this because young women are more likely to fall for narcissistic psychopaths. And the reason for that is they can't tell them from competent men. Because narcissists...
And that's what it is. There are teachings out here right now that are not good for real men. It's not good for men who lack confidence to learn from certain folks, because it's not teaching confidence, it's teaching narcissism. And narcissism is never the answer. Narcissistic tendencies are never the answer to gain confidence. It's all a facade, and it's something that you shouldn't be engaging in at all. And this is a very, very true statement here, is that there are some people that will be deceived by it and view it as confidence, but it's not true confidence. On the other side of this, I've been married now for over 13 years. I have children, wonderful children, and so I'm letting you know that this tendency, this narcissistic pretender type tendency that I see very many people engaging in, I have friends that engage in this, is complete garbage, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and it's a facade. It's a fugazi. It's totally fake. It's not who you really are, and it never lasts.
Narcissistic psychopaths imitate confidence, and that's their niche. And so they have a confidence that isn't justified by their ability. But the women check out the confidence as a marker of ability, and the falsely confident can fool them, especially if they're young and naive. So let's say you're not going to be a narcissistic psychopath, which is often what those manosphere dating sites teach you. It's like, wear an expensive...
What does this false narcissistic type confidence look like? Well, and some women have fallen for it, and one of the things that I believe is this sign of this narcissistic confidence is, they're very flashy. They act like there's this like in this behavior that is supposed to emulate an extreme manliness, but if you ever confront them or have a confrontation with them or discuss something with them that they don't like, or they deem as you questioning something that doesn't deserve to be questioned, you'll notice that whole persona crumbles immediately, and all of a sudden it's them trying to engage in some sort of altercation with you and fight with you, or they get riled up really easily. They're like, what's wrong? They just react to you in a certain way, and that is definitely a sign. It's like, okay, man, you are not as confident as you think you are. If you go from 0 to 100 and you can't just be comfortable with people discussing things with you and questioning you or even disagreeing with you, and it turns you into this like over-aggressive, hyper-aggressive person, when that happens, then that's very clearly a sign that you don't have real confidence. That this is all, you're fake, you're phony. That's normally the number one thing you will see in someone who engages in this kind of behavior.
Watch and peacock a bit. And peacock is to wear some item of clothing that's a little bit out of the ordinary, something a little bit more colorful than might be generally the case, so that you look like you're confident enough to pull that off with panache. But mostly it's just training in a kind of deceptive narcissism. Now, a wallflower guy might benefit from some training in narcissistic psychopathy, just to sort of balance them out a bit. So you can make some progress forward. That's why people like Andrew Tate are so popular. And I'm not saying that in an entirely dismissive manner. There's a huge danger there. But generally what women want is something like confident, productive generosity, fundamentally. And so, if that's allied with physical attractiveness and a sense of humor, and, the sorts of features that a man would also look for in a woman, so much the better. But your basic bet, and my suspicions are the guy who answered this question is probably young. First of all, no one likes young men, so if women don't like you, it's like, well, that's par for the course. Who likes young men? No one. Why? Well, they're basically troublesome and useless, and so that's why. So
There's nothing I have to say to that other than just amen. They're troublesome and useless. Oh man, if I could go back in time and stop myself from saying some of the things that I said to people or doing some of the things that I did when I was just a little bit younger. I'm still young, but even when you're just a little bit younger, the biggest revelation I have is as I get older is how little I actually know, and how uncertain I am about very many things. But back then when I was younger, ooh man, I thought I knew everything. I really did, even though I told myself I don't think I know everything. It's just a real difference when you get to that place. You're like, man, I really made a fool out of myself.
Cross-culturally, women like men who are about 4 years older than them. And the reason for that is women are more vulnerable on the sexual front, and they have to make themselves even more vulnerable if they have children, especially when the children are infants. And so they're looking for guys who are competent enough to be able to take care of themselves, at least, and then have enough left over for a wife and a dependent child. And not exactly because the wife wants to be taken care of, because it isn't exactly like women want to be taken care of. It's more...
And therein lies the whole issue with the whole red pill. I'm going to show you how to pick up women. I'm going to live this promiscuous lifestyle. That I need to, it's not enough for me to have just one woman. I need more. And then putting on this facade of wearing fancy clothing and having this attitude of I'm more manly and more masculine than anyone else. And all these weird things that at a lower level, it's like, okay, there is a level of understanding, men need to be, or men, there's nothing wrong with being masculine, those kind of things. But then when you engage in this hyper intensified version of it, what begins to happen, therein lies the problem, is that the facade begins to fade real quickly, and what's recognized is you are not a real man, because there is a difference between someone who is pretending to be a man and someone who is a real man. And the real man is the one who can actually provide for their household. The real man is the one who actually can be committed, be loyal, and build a family and be part of that family unit. And the way that it's reflected is it's reflected in the behavior and the attitudes of your children. A real man can raise real men. A real man can run their household and raise upstanding, well-behaved, well-mannered, strong, confident men, and not pushovers. Not pushovers, but men who will be confident in themselves and engage in a mature way the world around them. And that is a long-term game. That's a long game. That's not a short game. And so typically it takes time for these little seeds to manifest, and then and then a man will establish himself over time. And so this crap about, how, oh, well, it's not fair, no one's going to date me. Well, it's like, bro, and I have friends that are like this, and I'm like, bro, you work a part-time job and you come home and you sit on your butt and you play video games for 8 to 10 hours a day. You stay up till 2 a.m. playing video games. So just imagine what that does to you looks wise. You don't have to look like Henry Cavill, but it is how you take care of yourself is a reflection of how you're going to take care of others. There is no smart person on earth who's going to look at you and look at how it's not about putting yourself before others, but it's about showing people that you have standards, and that you're someone worth talking to because you have standards. Now, why am I talking about all this? Well, I'm talking about all this because as we go through our Bible study over the past couple weeks, every Friday, we have fallen on Proverbs chapter 5. And Proverbs chapter 5 is a very interesting chapter in the Bible because it's essentially talking to men, and I think it's worth reading the entire chapter. But it's essentially talking about men being confident and satisfied with committing yourself to your wife, committing yourself to a woman, and staying away. Really, it leans more heavy on staying away from what they call the harlot, and staying away from the woman who is living a very promiscuous lifestyle. And it warns that the end of that road is destruction. And so even just to give you a verse to talk about commitment, verse 15, drink water from your own cistern, flowing water from your own well. Should your springs be scattered abroad, streams of water in the streets, let them be for yourself alone and not for strangers with you. Let your fountain be blessed and rejoice in the wife of your youth. A lovely deer, a graceful doe. So this is talking about being committed, being being that person that stands with one woman, and being committed to that person to build that family, or even just having that husband wife togetherness. Why is it talking about that? It's not saying it's not saying that that you have to do this because that's the right thing to do. What it's telling you is that the other way, the way that this is being propagated by these stupid, this is how you be a real man. I watched a clip of one guy saying, I've got 5 different wives, and they all have different children. It's like, all that crap is stupid, and it leads to self-destruction. It leads to self-destruction. It leads to misery. It leads to a total breakdown of the man's role. Like, you will not understand why you feel so miserable living that lifestyle, even though you get all these women and all these things, and you feel empty on the inside. And the way that you justify it is, well, I'm a real man. I've got my cars, I've got my house, I've got my money, I've got my blah blah. And it's like, men want to achieve those things. But then that's the first half of it, because what they don't realize is the latter half of it is that they want to achieve those things so that they can share it and partake of it with a family unit. And that's where these men are deceiving themselves and tricking themselves, because they're violating the family unit in order to achieve these things and have a mentality, and they're being robbed of their future, because when they get those things, they don't understand why now it's so difficult for them to find happiness, or why it's so difficult for them to find a partner, because at this point now they've built up a persona, they've built up a personality, and women don't feel safe with them. And women don't feel like they can trust them. So you can trick a woman into getting into bed with you, but you can't trick a woman into being committed to you, because the only way to make a woman committed to you is to show her that you're worthy of commitment. And that's why these people get sucked into this stupidity, and then they don't understand why they're miserable, and they have to continue this persona or continue this lifestyle, and they won't change their ways. But this is where I wanted to focus in on verse 21, 22, and 23. It says, "For a man's ways are before the eyes of the Lord, and he ponders all his paths. The iniquities of the wicked ensnare him, and he is held fast in the cords of his sin. He dies for lack of discipline, and because of his great folly, he is led astray." I like this verse because it talks about how God sees everything. He sees all. He sees all the ways of man. He sees the directions that men can go in. He ponders all the paths. He sits there and he thinks through and comes to an understanding of where the pathway that a man is going on, and he's the only one that can truly embrace it and grasp it, in the sense of he's the only one that can truly call you out and understand the direction you're trying to go in. Well, God, I'm this way because da da da, and he's like, no, you're this way because you want to consume women upon the lust of your flesh. And so don't sit here and try to pretend like, well, this is about me being confident in myself. No, you're angry because you can't sleep with 12 women before you find the one. And it's like, that's not the whole reason why you're miserable is because your starting point is off. The whole reason why you're angry and the whole reason why you feel like it's unfair is because your starting point is off. Everything is affected by your perception. Everything is affected by the internal goals of your heart. And if your goal is not so much, if you're sitting here saying, well, I need confidence because the end game for you, the goal for you is so that you can just blow through as many women as you want and be able to get them into bed, then you're always going to be miserable, because the issue isn't the fact that you can't get women. The issue is what's going on in your heart. And you're chasing after the wrong thing. You're chasing after the harlot. You're not chasing after the wife. The iniquities of the wicked ensnare him, and he is held fast. He's bound by the cords of his sin, tied up. You're a slave. You can't escape it. You're going in this way of destruction. It is self-destructive. Everyone around you can see it, but you're not willing to see it. I don't care if you're a believer or not. You can engage in very unhealthy, self-destructive behavior, not listen to anyone, not listen to common wisdom that's worked over thousands of years, the people that have come before you that have succeeded in ways a lot bigger than you, guys that are really well known, guys that are very successful, guys that have been the playboys and all this kind of stuff. And you can learn from them and see that when they got to the end of that road, that almost all of them every time felt like it was not worth it. And you can say, well, yeah, but there's this one guy that thinks it was worth it. Okay, well, you have 1 out of 1,000,000. You've 1 out of 100. So take those odds to Vegas. Tell me how well you do. He dies for lack of discipline. Other translations say lack of teaching, but that is a good word for today. He dies for lack of discipline. And because of his great folly, he is led astray. He dies for lack of discipline. This is how you get destruction, because you are unable to discipline yourself. It's so crazy to me that a lot of these guys doing this red pill stuff and all these kind of crazy things, they go to the gym, they're very careful about what they eat, they're very careful about their looks, they keep themselves looking cleaned up, so they have this lifestyle where it's clear to me by the way that you look that you know how to exercise discipline in your life, but yet you still wonder why you feel so miserable and you get so angry when someone questions your lifestyle. And it's because you haven't allowed discipline to take place in every area of your life. Because this road that you live on, where you're able to, get your women and all this kind of stuff, and this is all you think about, and this is how you personify yourself, this is how you vindicate yourself, this is how you tell yourself that you're a real man. And you don't understand why you're so miserable and why you're so angry. It's because of your lack of discipline in that area. The fact of the matter is for the longest time, people have pointed out God and said that he's like this person in the sky waving his finger saying, don't do that or I'm going to get you. And really what he's doing is he's giving you a pathway to life. And that now in this day and age, we now are starting to come to understand, at least a lot of leadership books are, a lot of books that, self-help books, a lot of gurus are starting to tell people like the only way to achieve real happiness, the only way to achieve peace in your life is to exercise a life of discipline. It's telling yourself no. For the longest time, people bashed God because they said that he has no right to tell me no, that I can do whatever I want. And now on this end of it, now that we've seen the fruits of it, now that we've had people that have come full circle in their life, now we're saying, no, you know what? The only way to real happiness is what was being said before, what was being said originally, which is engaging in discipline, telling ourselves no, having standards. You want to be someone that attracts a beautiful woman. You want to be someone that attracts a woman that's worth spending your life with, a woman that you can raise children with, a woman that you can have a household with, a woman that can make her own way, a woman who's confident, a woman who can actually provide for herself. Be a man that exercises standards in your life. Be the person that walks in the room and has the standards and will not fold on them and will not walk away from them. The standards is the way to go. And because of his great folly, he's led astray. Stupidity. The Andrew Tate kind of stuff. The red pill kind of stuff. It's all stupidity. Don't be surprised when you engage in all those kinds of things, you're still miserable. Congratulations, you have a nice watch. Congratulations, you have a nice car. Congratulations, you've slept with 4 or 5 women. You still feel empty on the inside. And it's because your goals and your value system that you're leading with is hot garbage. And it won't bring you happiness. It won't bring you peace. It won't bring you joy. This right here is what brings men joy, is what brings men peace. And that's the truth. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it did something for you. Please like the video. That really, really helps the channel. I really, really appreciate it. I love these Friday Bible studies. I hope that this did a lot for you. This is something I can just kind of unwind with going into the weekend with the right mindset. And I will catch you guys in the next one.